Over the past year, I've kitbashed many little freaks. I'm not saying I'm particularly good at it, more so that I truly enjoy doing it. So when my friend Jamie Daggers announced a Kitbash competition for her upcoming game Lyctor, a very pro Kitbash project, I jumped at the opportunity to create some little weirdos. In this skirmish game, you control an Adept, effectively a necromancer, and their band of monstrosities, whose objective is to wipe out another Adept to ascend to Lyctorhood. Dark magic, reanimated corpses, bone constructs, I don't know. Sounds pretty metal. Sign me up. If I was going to make a necromantic magician, it needed to be some sort of badass. Initially, I went to one of my all-time favorite kits, the Frostgrave Cultist box. So many excellent pieces to use in virtually any scenario, except this one. Then I remembered that I'd been saving some metal Gardens of Hecate sculpts that I got from Totally Not Panicking Matt. And yeah, this femme-presenting ogre-type sculpt was perfect. But to make it a little more terms of service friendly, we're gonna need some sort of clothing. And a skull bra seemed like the best choice. The initial two factions are the Reanimators and the Bone Lords. And you know, based on some of my recent videos, which faction I was going with. Besides, one of the hand options I had was holding a big ol' bone. It was just meant to be. I finished piecing together my Adept with ample superglue and baking soda. This would help form a stronger bond, and I figured I could use the texture it created as some sort of fur fringing. Then, off camera, I added some scale barbed wire to complete this skull bra. The aforementioned Kitbash competition, which I'll link in the description, tasks you with kitbashing one of two unit types. A squire, effectively a pawn-type ghoul, zombie, skeleton, etc. Or a knight, a more specialized creation used to capture strategic points or lead assaults. Because it sounded like a lot more fun, I chose to create a big, wrecking ball of a knight. According to Jamie, Bone Lord Knights are often skeletal centaurs, but I thought I could improve upon that formula. I started with one of the horses from the Wargames Atlantic skeletal cavalry kit that I had previously stolen the head from, and a couple of skeletal torsos. I figured my badass Bone Lord Adept wouldn't want a basic centaur. No, she'd smash together a couple of rib cages, give it an additional arm, and another head. Maybe a ram's head? Yeah, definitely a ram's head. To go along with the humanoid one. And perfect. After some primer, a night blue base coat, and a deep magenta zenithal highlight, these freaks were looking like unified things, rather than collections of random parts. I was most looking forward to slapping paint on our absolute unit of an Adept, so that's where I started. Initially, I mixed some of the deep magenta into some shadow flesh, and started sketching on some thin lines, in my usual fashion. As always, I don't care about creating complete, opaque layers. Particularly in this case, I'm aiming for a very blotchy, vaguely unhealthy looking skin tone. Leaving random areas with poor coverage helps sell this, or at least that's how I see it. To build the volumes of this fleshy behemoth, I began mixing in some ice yellow. Shadow Flesh and Ice Yellow are my go-to paints for skin tone. The addition of the deep magenta brings in some additional pinky purple tones that worked really well on our Adept here. I continue to highlight the skin by adding more and more ice yellow to the base mix of magenta and shadow flesh, covering less and less surface with each layer, focusing the brightest point to the center of the model, again leaving some random patches of the underlying layer, attempting to bring out more of that sense of splotchy, unhealthy flesh. The skulls and the giant bone were painted in nearly the same way I've been painting the skulls of my Cryptcast Infernals, which, if you were wondering, I'm still plugging away at. Beginning by mixing in a small amount of the underpainted color into earth brown, then adding in more and more bright neutral gray as I cover less and less surface. I really think it showcases the difference the underpainted color makes, leaving the Cryptcast skulls looking dusty and crusty, while looking more eerie and surreal on our Adept here. Reasons why I play around with colors, I suppose. For the gloves and the bag over the head, I reach for what has quickly become one of my favorite colors, Scruffulous Brown. After mixing in a small amount of the deep magenta, I started making some scratchy marks, adding more and more of the ice yellow to build some volumes and highlights. Not overthinking anything, or maybe thinking at all, just splashing paint where it looked cool and might catch more light. I did space my sketchy little brushstrokes a little further apart on the head sack thing though, in an effort to make it look like a very heavy and broadly woven fabric. Versus the gloves, where I was aiming for more of a warm leather look. Now, Lyctor is a pretty ambitious skirmish game that uses some interesting mechanics. As an adept, you are seeking to have control over both the realm of the living and the realm of the dead. This means that the game is played in both realms, simultaneously, using coins to denote which realm each unit is in at any given time. If a unit is defeated in the life realm, it moves to the death realm. If it's defeated in the death realm, it's removed entirely. However, there are also mechanics to move back and forth, which should provide tons of strategic depth. Additionally, Lyctor doesn't use dice, simply a standard deck of cards, which you use to enhance your unit's defense or attack characteristics, providing an interesting level of effectively gambling. Do you use your big cards to enhance an attack right now and risk not being able to defend something later? A concept I really like. While I haven't played the game, I'm really looking forward to demoing it at Adepticon and getting a copy of the digital zine. Maybe I'll see you there. With paint slopped on both these little freaks, it was time for some quick basing, which I kept extremely basic, simply mixing some ochre pigment powder with water and washing down the base. Then the victory lap of black around the base rim, and these units are ready for Lyctor. Kitbashing is a super fun way to make minis that are truly your own, and games that really encourage it are something we're seeing more of, which I can absolutely get behind. If you want to join in on the Lyctor Kitbashing fun, head to the link in the description, and thanks for supporting independent creators. The more we support cool concepts, the more and better each concept is going to be. Most importantly though, thanks for watching. You are awesome.